make a big focus right now. They will be at Ascension. Rolling Thunder to come down. And they're off the fly out of place. Someone's got done.
Hello everyone, it is time finally. Hopeful teams from North America, Latin America, and Brazil battled it out through 2 splits to find out who can make it to Ascension and who can battle through everything to be the one to move up to VCT Americas. Welcome to VCT Ascension Americas. My name is Sierra Dawn. I'm so excited to be here and so excited to be hanging out on the desk with 2 wonderful analysts. We have none other than Roy and Emily. Guys, it is time. I am so excited to get underway with everything. They're making me wait a little bit. All good things are worth waiting for, but it'll be a really fun time for this entirety of the tournament. Being able to see all these teams fight off on LAN over in Mexico as well, I think is just going to be a really exciting opportunity, especially since we got to see last year's Ascended team from Americas, G2, and the success they've had during this year. So there's going to be a lot of eyes for today on who's going to be bringing it in, and we'll bring in our analysts eventually. We'll eventually bring them in. It's you know, every good day has to start with a little bit of drama, right? So good, but everyone watching want to know who you're rooting for and everything else throughout the tournament with all of these hopeful teams. I don't want to know who you guys are rooting for. I've yapped a lot already. Em, why don't you take over the yap time? How are you feeling for Ascension?
Very moment, and this is such an important tournament for all 6 of these teams. It all comes down to here. Not much room for error, Roy, because every moment counts.
Every moment does count. I think the one thing I'm looking forward to is a lot of these players are actually so flashy and so fun to watch. And I think this introduction, like obviously in LATAM and in Brazil, like these players are not really unknown, but to us in North America, they're kind of relatively unknown because they don't really come from big backgrounds, at least most of them, except some of the players on RETA. You might recognize some of them from previously, like Crew and MIBR. But a lot of these players are so fun and they're really upcoming and they're really exciting to watch. And I'm just happy to see good old Valorant.
Especially too, after Ascension, only one team can be moving on into Americas. But for the players, this is also a really good opportunity to show what they've got, because you know there's roster media, players can get pulled up. So being able to see everyone from all these different regions really be able to show what they got will be awesome. Especially too, there's going to be a lot of Valorant for Ascension. So how this is going to be going down is we have our 6 qualified teams, and we're going to be doing a group stage round robin single elimination. So this will be really fun because we get an opportunity to see all these teams square off against each other. So it really is kind of a best of the best. They're even kicking it off today with 3 games.
Yeah, 3 VO3. So we've got a day, like you said, fully jam-packed of Valorant. And looking at the teams that we have today, I love round robin. I don't know about you, Roy, but I think it's great. Get everybody into the battlefield, get everybody playing against each other, because not everybody's going to move it forward to the second part, which is going to be a double M series. So this group stage that we're going to be seeing this week with round robin is important. Like I said, there's not much room for error. Every moment, every round, win-loss counts, and it's going to be important. So we're going to be starting off, and being a player myself, and you're the first team that's playing and the first day of the event, I mean, it's a fun moment to be able to kick it off.
Absolutely. And I think that also one thing we have to kind of keep in mind is a lot of these teams haven't really played or shown their officials in about 5 to 6 weeks. So there's a lot of like unknown and periods of development. And I think like this group stage, the reason why I'm a big fan of it is because it's sort of like an introductory to what everyone's sort of doing, right? And how much of their strategy they can keep hidden, and how much of their gameplay they can kind of, you know, keep sort of as like an X factor when it comes to the times that actually matter, which is playoffs. So right now it's mostly just like introductory. Obviously every match matters. You want to qualify for playoffs, but there's not too much stress in that regard. And there's a lot of room for interpretation, a lot of room to like kind of show yourself but not expose too much.
That'll be fun too, because you're saying too that there hasn't been officials, but this is the time to give everything. You want to make sure, of course, we're going to have a lot of our group stage ahead of us, but at the end of this, only 4 teams can make it out of that group stage and make it into that 4-team double elimination bracket to try and be the team to ascend. And we're talking about, hey, maybe on the North America broadcast end of things, that some people might not be too familiar with the team. So to get acquainted, we do have a couple of videos for our first matchup of the day with RETA Esports and 2Game Esports.
Nuestro camino fue un camino muy difícil porque tuvimos muchas dificultades desde el empiezo del año, pero siempre supimos que éramos una equipe muy buena, que teníamos mucha experiencia y sabíamos que íbamos a lograr a qualificación a la Ascension y ahora vamos a buscar nuestra victoria en la Ascension. Creo que el apoyo de las personas de la región del Latam está siendo algo fundamental para nosotros porque es una región muy querida, tiene mucho cariño, nos tratan muy bien, entonces con certeza nos ayuda mucho eso. Creo que por más que el Tier 2 ese año, principalmente en Brasil y en las, tenga muchas dificultades, vai ser um campeonato bem disputado, todas as equipes estão em um nível bem alto, nenhuma equipe está aqui por perdida, todas estão aqui com muito talento, muito esforço, muito trabalho, então vai ser um campeonato com um nível muito parejo. Estamos bem confiantes, a sensação do debut é única, creio que todos nós ya tenemos experiencia, principalmente los cabros de mi equipo tienen mucha más experiencia que yo, pero estamos bien ansiosos para empezar. Tenemos mucho que enseñar a todos ustedes que están nos acompañando y la partida contra la 2Game va a ser algo muy bueno de se ver, de se mirar, porque ellos también tienen un nivel muy alto, están volviendo ahora de un bootcamp en la Europa, creo, entonces va a ser algo muy bueno. El Silence es un duelista muy bueno, ya trabajé junto con él, ya jugamos juntos en otro equipo. Creo que la ventaja de él ahora es la flexibilidad de él, que estás jugando con otros PJs, está jugando en otros roles también, entonces eso creo que va a cambiar un poco el estilo de él también y vamos a saber aprovechar de eso.
Sim, eu acho que meu time ele merece muito, por todo o esforço, tudo que a gente já fez, tudo que a gente já passou. Já passamos muita coisa junto e eu acho que dentro do servidor a gente vem se provando cada vez mais. Nesse Ascension é a nossa prova final. A gente chegou para ganhar e mostrar que a gente merece sim. Sim, eu acho que meu time ele é digno de ascender, de ir para esse Ascension, ganhar, né? Esse Ascension. A gente passou por muita coisa junto, muitos desafios, sempre juntos, um apoiando o outro. Eu acho que o Ascension agora é a prova final. E a gente vai mostrar que a gente merece estar aqui. O nosso primeiro confronto contra a RETA eu acho que vai ser um dos mais difíceis do campeonato. Acho uma equipe muito boa, mas a gente está preparado, se preparamos para essa partida e vai dar tudo certo, sair com a vitória. Acho que o Brasil no FPS sempre foi uma região muito boa. Acho que a gente sempre joga com muita garra, por mais que às vezes o NA e outros times tiveram treinos melhores, acho que a gente vem com garra para dentro do servidor e o jogo é jogado. Eu acho que o nosso nível é alto, acho que os dois times que estão aqui, a gente e a Galores, estamos representando bem o Brasil e vamos mostrar isso aí no servidor.
Always love the insight from the players, especially to being able to hear how they're talking about just the matchup and the team ahead of them, which is going to be absolutely fantastic. And time for us to dive a little bit deeper into these teams and the players as well. Going to be kicking it off with RETA Esports, talk a little bit more about this. And Roy, when we're looking at this team just across the board, when I'm looking at a team that can go all the way, I mean, they've definitely been able to show off throughout their playoffs that, hey, this is the team that has what it takes. This will be fun, especially to for Maurice, a little bit of redemption arc ahead.
And I think you can, I mean, even in the video, you could tell that 2G is giving respect to this team because they are actually a very dominant force. Their team structure is actually pretty interesting when you think about it, because they have Snauzine, their duelist player, and he takes a lot of first engagements, and their sort of structure is, okay, we send Snauzine at them, we kind of brawl it out, we like devolve the rounds into like sort of these late round situations, but then they have these very experienced players like Delzik and Nagzit, and they have all these like awesome players that can close out rounds that have really high clutch percentages, and they're such a cool team in that regard, where like they have a very clear identity, they're a very strong team, and it's just about knowing, okay, like this is what they're up to, can we deal with what they're going to be bringing to the table?
Yeah, and I have to say, when I watched them play in their grand finals match, to me, I felt like it was a really fun one to watch. It was a nail biter. It went all 5 maps, which, you know, Roy, it's not easy to do. It really takes a lot of strength, a lot of energy from you to win in a BO5 series, especially if it goes all 5 maps. We have Delzik on the screen here because look at these stats from Delzik. Delzik is a player to watch, in my opinion, Roy, for this upcoming match.
If there's one thing I always preach about, it's about star player controllers. And if I'm thinking about a star player controller, I'm thinking about this person right here in specific. He has 25% clutch rates. His kill to death is 1.25 in the controller role. He's an absolute force, and he's sort of the X factor controller that you sort of expect when you're thinking of like very high level star player controllers and very ratty players that play around their smokes and they anchor sites very well, but they're also willing to take risks as well. Like this person right here is an awesome player, and they're going to have to figure out a way to kind of minimize his value because he is going to have impact whether you like it or not.
Yeah, 100%. That was my first impression looking over everything. I was like, ooh, okay, if Delzik starts popping off, this could absolutely go south. But another player to be watching out for, and I love that we're not just focusing on the duelists, at least for the start of this. We have to be looking at as well, because you're talking about, Roy, that clutch factor that these players have and these teams have, and the fact that RETA Esports has 2 of those individuals on their team, I think, is so dangerous and something to really be watching out for.
Absolutely. I mean, Nagze, obviously, he's former crew player. He's a very terrifying player to play against. I mean, check out his statistics, right? I mean, his ADR is it's not really accurate, but I think it's 141. Kill to death ratio is 1.13 as well. But look at his clutch rate, 30%. Like, how are these players so consistently closing out rounds, right? And this kind of goes back to what I was saying before. You have Snauzine that's in your face throughout the beginning and the middle of the round, and then you're setting up Delzik and Nagzit, some of the best closers in the league, to come out and secure these rounds for you.
Yeah, and adding to what you were talking about with the clutch percentage, I mean, this is a player, if you press tab and you're going up 1v1 for the round win here, I mean, I would be worried. This player just shows that he's got what it takes to win the round. So, very good player, Negs. And also just being the annoying, I love the annoying menace Sentinel players. These are really, really a struggle to play against.
100%. So a little bit of something to watch. If either of these 2 players are out there still alive, you can expect maybe a little craziness to happen. And that's definitely something for team to be watching out for in today's series. And talking a little bit more about this team, I think when you're talking about, hey, this other team has this clutch potential, this is going to be really fun. This team overall, Roy, I mean, the comps they have, how these players play, this is a team that I'm really excited to see what they're going to be bringing to be kicking off Ascension.
Absolutely. And this is Brazil's number 2 seed team, by the way, for context to anyone watching right now. This team, though, don't be fooled. They're number 2 seed, yes, but they're a very strong and a very exciting team. And one of my favorite players on this team is Spikey, or Spike. He's such an awesome player. He's a very flashy Neon player. He's a very flashy Yoru player. But they also have a cool dynamic as well with Silence, right? Who's also their secondary duelist, also Sentinel player, where it's sort of an interesting dynamic. But look at the stats right here for Spike, right? Like 156 damage per round. He's on an entry roll, and he's on a 1.2 KD.
Yeah, my question for the day, you guys, is anybody not gonna get punctured by Spike? Ah, you get it?
Oh.
No.
I had to start it with
the mom jokes?
Yeah. Oh, I like it. Yes. But I mean, like you were saying, Roy, Spike is a star player, in my opinion. This is somebody that everybody needs to watch out for. When we were listening to the interview, we were hearing how much they respected their opponents, and these are the teams that I like. This means that they're doing their homework at the end of the day, and Spike is a player that has a game plan, and he's going to go in there with that.
And someone else that they had talked about having respect for on 2 game was the secondary duelist that you're talking about, Roy, which is Silings. Especially, too, I love that we get this flashy neon with Spike, also being able to pick up stuff like the Euro. I think it's so fun. But then being able to have 2 really proficient duelists, seeing Silings on more things like that Raze and the Jet, I think this team can have really, really explosive power. And when there is this explosive duelist who also has the capability of being able to just like root in the team and clutch up as a Senti, I love that 2-pronged core.
Yeah, I mean, you have 2 specialists in completely different styles of duelists, right? Which makes your team very flexible and very versatile. I mean, we kind of saw that with the 2023 EG, right? With Jaw and with Demon 1. And it's sort of the similar style here for this team. But both of these players, the crazy part is they're both of their stats are insane. No matter what they're playing, there's no weaknesses, there's no drawbacks. They're incredibly comfortable playing all styles of their roles, whether Silence is on Sentinel or whether he's on Duelist. He's gonna be a force, and he's going to have impact, and he's gonna make a name for himself.
Yeah, and I love that. I think really when you're looking at making a name for yourself, being able to show that now that we're on LAN for all these players and there is the stakes that are so high, this is really where we get to see these teams kind of step up. And with these teams as well, we've talked so much about these individual players and how their play styles kind of feed into the team. So being able to highlight Spike and Snowzine here, Roy, I think also can encapsulate what we can see and anticipate ahead of this match.
Yeah, I mean, just look at the first kill participation, right? Like, you can just tell that they have so many of those. And this kind of goes back again to RETA style versus 2G style, where it's like 2 game, they have a lot of set pieces and they have a lot of sort of like send the duelist at you with a lot of utility style. Whereas, RETA is kind of the same thing, but they like to play a little bit slower. They like to sort of draw the rounds out, make you very uncomfortable, and have these very experienced closers to sort of deal with the round. And it's really this first kill participation is going to be a big factor in this matchup, and it's going to be, in my opinion, one of the deciding factors on how these rounds will unfold.
I agree. I think these are 2 players that are going to go head to head, like you were saying. And watching Snow was interesting for me. I feel like the playoffs specifically, Snow really showed up. Snow was there for his team. I'm getting a tongue twister here. For his team in the playoffs. And I just feel like we haven't seen them play in some time, over a month. So I'm excited for this first game of these 2 players specifically, like you were saying, because they had so much time to study their opponents and make their star players, like these 2 on the screen right now, shine even further.
Yeah, it's been a bit. So being able to see what these teams have been working on and what they bring for the table today is going to be an absolute thrill. And we've already waited a month, so what is a few more minutes? We're going to be taking a short break as we get the teams ready and everything set up. But after this, it'll be RETA going up against 2 games. Stay tuned.
face. Came through with it again. They know that I got spirit with a pen. Don't know why they try to compete when they know that in victory it's never gonna end. Them and a week, that's why they could never speak. They ain't like me, I take it to the peak. Different type of steeds that I breed. Wheel up on the mic, they won't get one of these. Please, I don't wanna hear no talk from them. I don't wanna see nothing at all from them. They can't do it like me. So all I wanna see really is a round of applause from them. Vibes in the air, we caused it again. Life isn't fair, but we rode it again. All of my teams being ready for the war, there's no warning for them. Tell them again, I ain't here to make up no friends. I just came through yet again. We up, you never got one of them. Top of the pound yet again. They can't stop this child not again. Reigning champ, I won't lose it. So you know I'm gonna win that again. Tell them again. Tell them again. Tell them again. Tell them again. I ain't here to make up no friends. I just came through yet again. We up, you never got one of them. Top of the pile yet again. They can't stop this child not again. Reigning champ, I won't lose it. So you know I'm gonna win that again. Tell them 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 again. I ain't here to make up no friends. I just came through yet again. We look, you never got one of them. Top of the pile yet again. They can't stop this child not again. Reigning champ, I won't lose it. So you know I'm gonna win that again.
about time to get it. It's about time, not forget it. It's about time. Never gonna give up, never give up now. Never gonna stop now. Whoa, you roll with me. Whoa, you roll with me. Whoa, you roll with me. Whoa, you roll with
My VCT, it can be us. So it's us, of course. Yeah, we are the funniest team. We are together. We are all together. So we have fun and we like our style. So yeah.
I think heretics, because they have a lot of, I don't know how to say it, aura, because they are, I think they are like a family, and I like that. I remember when I was on Leviton and my team was like this.
I think I'd say loud, probably, because of the history it has made in my country. I'd probably say loud.
Probably Sentinels or 100 Thieves, just because I have ex-teammates on that team, and I like seeing them succeed.
I guess Heretics now. I like their game style and how they play, and super fun guys playing. They seem to like each other.
My favorite team is G2.
I would say I'm rooting for G2 and Love the most. Probably them.
I think I have to say G2. Yeah, they showed the way, and like they ascended. They went, I think, top 3 on Shanghai, and I think that kind of shows the potential of the tier 2 teams.
I think Furia, maybe the team I have more common ground, like more friendly people that are playing.
Probably Lev or Genji, but they just got knocked out, so I'll go with Lev.
Wow, that's a tough one. I might say Genji.
I would have to say my favorite VCT team so far right now would have to be EDG, because they bring a new style, or like a different style, I would say, more aggressive than other teams, and they're really fun to watch, you know? It's kind of cool seeing a new region win like they did, and it brings a lot more viewership to the game, so it was really cool to watch them do what they did.
Thanks for sticking with us, everyone. We have to make sure everything is ready, but we will have a full day of Valorant ahead. 3 best of 3s, kicking it off with RETA Esports going up against 2 Game Esports. And reminder, this is group stage to be starting things out. But out of the 6 teams, only 4 are going to make it out of our group stage into that double elimination bracket to try and be the team that ascends. So even if, you know, one loss isn't going to be it from the get-go, you want to try and have a good start to the tournament.
Yeah, like I said, I love round robin. It's just a full-on playing battlefield. Everybody has a chance. Everybody plays everybody, and it's important to remember all the rounds count, all of the round wins, and you just don't want to let a mistake happen, in my opinion, because you want to end up not only being one of the 4 teams out of the 6 that makes it on to the next period, but also have one of the best seeds, right? You want the best advantage that you can get, because this is the tournament of the year for these players.
100%. And when we're looking at these 2 teams, I mean, Roy, you have to be talking about how their playoffs and how their seasons went before they even got to Ascension. When we're talking about getting off on the right foot, I mean, RETA Esports' example, team that was doing very well beforehand.
Yeah, I think very well is an understatement. To put it into context, they have only lost 3 matches in 2024. The entire year up until this point, they have only lost 3 officials. To be fair, though, 2 of them were in split 2. So, I mean, I guess maybe things got a little shaky, but they still are the number 1 seed. They still won the tournament. They are a really strong team. And the one thing, though, from the video that we saw before we hopped on here was 2G talking about their style and like their own flair, and like they just look so happy to be here, and they look like they're like in love with their style and their identity. And I think that is a buff on like in its own way, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about the fact that, hey, in Split 2, RETA had these 2 losses. It's been a bit since these teams have gotten to play in official. So what we can maybe see coming out in Ascension could be a lot of a different look. And that's something I'm especially interested in looking at with our Zippo map select. Especially, too, if we're looking back to, I mean, just even map rotations and everything, that there's going to be maybe a little bit of unfamiliarity, Roy, when you're looking at something like Abyss.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, some of the teams have not shown that whatsoever. But here we go with the map select. It is going to be Bind for the... Oh, it's Bind at Sunsets. Oh, I love that. I actually love that very much. So Bind is pretty interesting because 2G did swap their comp recently, and they sort of run this like composition that we haven't really seen teams running. And it's a double duelist, double controllers, but not Viper. It's Omen Brim. And again, there has been a bit of a period since their last official, so there might be some changes. But if we do see the same comp, It is so fun to watch, and I'm really excited for that first map.
You know what? Also, looking at Lotus being banned, I think that's an interesting one. Both of these teams are really good on Lotus, so the fact that that got banned, maybe they just wanted to get it out of here and do a whole fresh reset like you were talking about, because Sunset's map 2, and that's not really the best map for both teams. So, like Sierra was saying pregame, they had lots of time to prepare. We haven't seen them play in over a month, so they picked it for a reason, right? Sunset, so that's going to be an interesting map, especially for such an important match.
I'm really hoping, since it has been some time, I mean, obviously there is you want to make sure you're at the top and you've every advantage you can for Ascension. I'm really hoping, Roy, when we are looking at 2-game, that we haven't necessarily gotten to see too much deviation with the compositions and stuff, because even if we do need a level up coming into the tournament, I want to see that kind of expanded off with their play style, because I think the compositions they got and like kind of how they can maybe throw people for a loop, I think, and kind of take things by storm.
Yeah, and a bit of a circle back as well. I mean, on that point is, you know, we talked about Spike on 2G having a really, really strong Neon, and he's one of the flashiest players in Brazil right now, at least on the come up. And the maps that have been selected are actually the maps that he plays Neon on. So they're kind of in strength to 2G style. And I think we're going to see a lot of like the duelists battling, and whether they're like RETA can actually put a stop to this flashy Brazilian style that Spike will be bringing and 2G will be bringing.
Playing right into what 2-game could go for. I absolutely love that. I'm curious to how you're feeling about this just map select in general, because going into the series, I kind of was thinking that RETA Esports might have the upper hand, and I still think super talented. They got that clutch potential. They have that possibility.
Yes.
But look at the map pool. I don't know anymore.
Yeah, they have the clutchers that's needed. I'm looking at the stats that I have written down for their Split 2 series. 75% win rate for them, so they've played it 8 times, RETA. So Bind is a good map for them. Like Roy was saying, we could be seeing an insane, crazy Neon action going on, and if that can't be stopped, if there can't be answers found for that, this game could go either way.
It'll be interesting too if we do get to that third map of Abyss here, considering that this is still the map that's a little bit more unknown. I believe it was RETA that did have the one official on it.
Yep.
So a little bit of a look of what they're able to do, bringing out more of that harbor composition. But when we're looking at 2-game, the sky's the limit with what they can do. So that will be a really interesting one for both of these teams and how they're able to adapt if we do get to that third map.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point, Sierra, because I think part of me believes that 2G kind of won this veto. Like, yeah, maybe their bind statistically is not the best map they've ever played, and RETA is a very strong bind team, but they have a lot of prep work available for RETA. Like, they've shown their bind, they've shown their sunset, and they've shown the Abyss. They have the left comp with the double controller and harbor. But on the other hand, 2G has a lot of that unknown factor where it's like there's been a long period of time they've never shown their Abyss. Obviously, their sunset is a pretty strong map. They're playing to their strengths, and it's like a part of me feels like 2G won the veto in some ways, but again, we're talking about RETA here. It's not a team that's just gonna like roll over just because, you know, the veto is not in their favor or they're not really comfortable with it.
100%. I mean, the team has the caliber, the team has the players and the skill and the experience behind that. Hey, this will be a competitive series, whichever way you slice it, even if 2-game does come out just guns a-blazing, trying to really catch them off guard. So I think that'll be the kind of the fun matchup in the preparation and the known quantity versus this whole unknown amp.
Yeah, I mean, we've got the maps. We've talked about what we think about them that are here, but we need to talk about the mindset. I love that we got the opportunity to listen to a few interviews from some of the players, and the mindset of them going into here, I felt like we're kind of polar opposite. One team has full-on respect for the other team, is knowing that they're going to be going the best opponents, in their opinion. The other is going in strong, confident, and just feeling like this is going to be an easy win for them. So as the mindset of a player with this map pool, Roy, like you were saying, 2G has a really good chance.
I think they have the "we're just happy to be here" buff. It is sort of like a psychological hack, right? Because like when you're just happy to be here and you're happy to you have fun playing the game in the way that you want to play the game, I think you sort of like circumvent the stress factor, right? Where it's like, I'm not really too worried about it. Oh yeah, RETA's a good team. We're gonna respect them. But like at the end of the day, when you're playing just to have fun, just to have a good time, you're not really thinking about, oh, what if we lose? Oh, what if this happens? What if, what if we start off on a bad foot? Like, you're not even, these things aren't even being processed. It's just like, how can we play the game in a way that we're having fun? And that's a huge buff.
Yeah. And it's interesting with the mindsets aligning too with kind of the journeys that these teams have taken to get here. So RETA Esports, as you touched upon, Roy, this is the team that during this 2024 of only losing, I believe you said three officials, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's there's a lot of pressure kind of coming into this tournament, being able to win their playoffs and doing just such a strong run. Whereas for 2Game, I mean, they definitely had a good season, but losing out in this lower final to then qualify off of the circuit points, they definitely feel that they, alongside this mindset, alongside this play style, alongside everything else, that they kind of look like more of this underdog team to me, which that is a dangerous thing because, all they can go is up.
Yeah, I've been in this position before, and it's a really powerful feeling if you come into a tournament with that, because you want nothing more than to prove everybody wrong. They're working hard day in and day out, and they're sweating blood, tears, all of it in between, and they've probably been sacrificing a lot to be here and make it happen. So going in as essentially the underdog of this match, but they're just a really good team, just scraping their way by to qualify, I feel like that kind of just brings this little bit of energy out of them. They want the win. They want everybody to know they are here to play and play hard.
Yeah, especially too, like, it definitely is not meant to discount getting in by these circuit points, but it's definitely like hey, there was still a little bit more that we could have done last time. So I feel like it's a little bit more of that little bit of a redemption arc. But I'm curious then when you're looking at RETA and the fact that there was this smidge of this stumble, if you even call it that, considering they lost very few matches throughout the year, Roy, how they're going to be taking this tournament as well.
Can I bring up a sort of controversial point here on RETA?
Oh, yes.
Here we go.
I love
so I
love
think
these hot takes.
I think the level of competition in LATAM is good, is really good, but it's not to the same level that we see here in North America, where we have a little bit stronger talent in tier 2, right? And I think the style of RETA has been very successful because they have almost outmaneuvered mechanically, and to the point where they have so much experience, they're able to close out these rounds, but they haven't been tested to the highest level. Now they might be able to get away with it versus some of the teams, but I think once they start having the matchups versus teams like M80, who are just like, they're able to match them on every front. Like, they have the mechanics to match them, they have the strategy to match them, they have compositions that there's no way RETA has gone to practice against. I think that's where we're going to see the real level of RETA, whether they are the team that is like, are they undeniably are they the best team in this tournament? Are they not the best team in this tournament? Because we don't have like a banana for scale right now. Like, we don't really know what level these teams are at. And like, we only know like M80 in North America, but we don't know what M80's like in LATAM, and we don't know what M80's like in Brazil, right? Like, we don't know how the scale is. And I think until we see these matchups happening, that's when we'll really know what level RETA's at.
Everything kind of existing in its own vacuum up until this point. Or we just scream NA bias at Roy and kind of move on and kind of save him. But no, it'll be... I love it when we get to see kind of like the regions for Ascension be able to face off against each other, because I think when you're looking and having that conversation of which region, which team, I think this is a really important time to merge all of these teams in one tournament to really see who can take all. The teams are going to be hitting the stage soon, but we want to make sure everyone can go get their water, go get their snacks. So quick break, we'll be right back. Thanks for bearing with us, everyone. But for realsies, we're about to get started with the first match here in VCT Ascension Americas. This is going to be really fun. Reminder, this is group stage, but we have the top of Latin America, RETA Esports, going up against the underdogs of Brazil in 2-game esports. This is going to be the first look at what they're offering here in Ascension to prove that they are ready. Roy, this is going to be a great way to be starting off our tour.
Absolutely. And I think the one thing we probably did not stress enough during this intro was the fact that, I mean, whoever ascends from this tournament is their lives are going to change completely. Their reality is going to change. Their lifestyle is going to change. Everything's going to change. Obviously, they're going to remain competitors, but that's about the only consistency they will have once they win this tournament. So a lot is at stake. There's big things coming here for both of these teams, and I'm kind of excited to see what they bring to the table on their opening match.
There's something about the walkout, the experience with all the lights on you, people in the crowd. There's just this euphoric moment right now that the players are probably experiencing because they've worked so hard to get here. And you can see as they're about to huddle, they're really getting into the zone. I love this moment as a player, just really embracing it all and just trusting the process of what it was like to get here.
For one of these teams, this could be the new reality going on forward, but this is where it's all going to matter. The entire season leading up to this. Reminder, 4 teams will make it out of the groups. So one loss isn't going to do it, but you want to make sure you're showing up and showing out. And with quite a bit of time since we've seen them last, what are they going to be bringing out? What style are they going to be doing? And who's going to show that they have what it takes once they get to environment to show that they are ready to be that next team to ascend?
And I think
Roy, this is awesome.
Yeah, this is so cool. This is really, really cool. I think a really cool talking point as well is the fact that obviously some of the RETA players have already experienced what it's like to be on stage, whereas some of the players on 2-game might not have. And I think, you know, this is going to be sort of a battle between the experience of RETA versus the, you know, kind of the underdog passion that 2-game brings to the table. I think it's going to be cool in that regard for sure.
And Em, I mean, you're talking about this euphoric feeling going out onto this stage, and like this is a moment for some of these players that this is going to be kind of like that first opportunity, but also then everything they've built up for, how does that translate to once they're sitting in those seats, kind of that stress and everything else that's going to be accompanied with that?
Yeah, I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about that feeling. But look, we have the players select. Oh my gosh.
What is this? This is right. We're talking about things changing in 2-game esports. They changed off of the quirky and they're going with something a little bit more traditional.
No, my day is immeasurably ruined. They have gone from a really fun composition to the meta. No.
I mean, looking at changing ways, I mean, maybe RETA was prepared for the quirkiness that was this neon and these double smokes, everything else. I don't know. maybe we're getting the ultimate switcheroo here going up to a traditional, but we got more of a mirror coming on out. We'll have to see how it turns out. RETA Esports going up against 2-game esports. It's going to be fine, and we're heading over to Uber and Wyatt for match number 1.
Thank you very much, friends. Yeah, great to be here. Uber joined by Wyatt for our first match of this Americas Ascension tournament. And you can see, obviously, already maybe some tension filling the arena. Plenty on the line for these teams, but this is group stage matches first. I want to remind everyone of that before we move to playoffs. We have our 6 teams playing through this somewhat round-robin situation. Wyatt RETA are the #1 seed from the LATAM region, and 2-game esports, I mean, they placed 3rd overall in playoffs, but it's the circuit points that actually got them here to Monterey.
Yeah, not just in the playoffs of Split 2, but Split 1 as well. So 2-game, they've been consistent throughout the year in what's been a very volatile Brazilian challengers scene, and it's led them to this point. But can they step up when it actually matters the most now, surpass the placements they've had previously against a RETA that are more than experienced? In fact, they are the most experienced team at this event. They have 3 players that have been to champions, been to masters, and 2-game, they've not been to anything. They've been to challengers in Brazil. That is it.
And we are wasting no time jumping in here. RETA are going to be on the defensive side here. You know, so yes, spikes not on that signature neon look here, maybe wishing for it. After that little engagement, it's going to be a Snowzine able to find one in showers. RETA with 2 plays the ball back to the side, but Silence already got into land.
Nice position, deep site control take here from 2G. Silence going to back off now, just play towards Lamps, the second duelist of the pairing. 4-2 game when they swap between that Spike and Neon, like you mentioned. And when he's not on Silence, he's going to play the Jet, he's going to play the Raze, and he's damn good at both those agents.
So, we have a little wrap here already for Mariz. Has to watch out, the player swinging through from Shower. Zap able to catch him out before Prize even got there, so that flank, that wrap here for short, still unbeknownst to RETA. Still 3 players to work with though, and they are stacked up for this. Now Zap's about to get a lot of action, but Prize here from the box. Only a scratch. RETA going to take this pistol away.
Just shots going completely awry. That Viper's wall serving to try and divide in that retake situation. Price trying to find a time to swing, and he did find the right one, but shots just not connecting, and it's RETA, that number 1 seed, the favorite side certainly going into this game, picking up that first pistol.
And I think it's worth talking about here. Something we should expect to see a lot from Snowzine is that aggression. He really seems to be maybe the odd one out in terms of the approach here for RETA, who are generally a really methodical team, but they love to throw snow at their opponents early in the round and see how they respond and maybe play off of it.
Yeah, RETA really are a kind of by-the-numbers textbook team. They play the meta comps of the year on every single map. They have experienced players. They're well-rounded, no doubt. Molly. And on the opposite side, 2Game, oftentimes it seems that they rely on that explosivity that Spike provides when he's playing Neon, which Roy on the desk mentioned was previously playing here. I was hoping to see it just as much as he was. This is new for 2Game. It's not new for the meta by any means, but it's new for them.
RETA also with a fair amount of experience dealing with Neon comps, especially those defensive pops you see from them, as they dealt with that against All Night ad nauseum in that 5-map upper final that ended up qualifying them to this very tournament. So they've definitely been conditioned to work with that kind of aggression from their opponents here. This is more methodical, but Mariz waiting. Does get busied out pretty much straight away. Will be taken down by Spike. It's going to be Delzik to step up next, and he is spraying wildly. At least able to find Spike. Good timing hit for Snow. Silence is felled instantly, and that flash was beautiful, but Zap's able to shrug it off and take down the Raze. Now Suter and Nagsek grouped up here through spawn. They don't realize that Suter snuck onto the site, but it looks like Prize heard it. Now the 1 versus 2 for the Gecko. Player sitting way back towards Octagon. You can see Zap waiting on this, but Prize is looking the wrong way. Now Suter can work with this. Mosh pit over to create a little bit of spacing, but there's still the issue of the defuse. Gives it a tap. Zap has to respect this, sitting there with the Outlaw, and Suter's too good. Bulldog claims it's Prize, and RETA at least able to recover from an awkward start to the round.
Suter just offered 1 player at a time. They're able to capitalize with the Bulldog. That was Prize just unaware on that site. Outlaw not able to contain the necessary angle. A lot of damage done and the spike down. It's one of those eco rounds where someone says in the comms after, that was a good round though, but you still feel a little bit bad because it became so winnable. But it was still a good round, all things considered, with the damage that's been dealt here.
Yeah, this is what the bonus looks like as a result for RETA. It's pretty bare. But of course, 2G are now armed to the teeth, ready to chalk one up. RETA here, pretty adamant about maintaining this sort of short presence. So the Snow is more than happy to hold down with the Bulldog. And Nagsat wants to exercise some control here over at B-Long.
Slow goings to open things up here. Zap now going to use that Trailblazer just to gain the space long, gain that space towards Octagon, allowing safe passage for the team to get up close, work into a position where they could go for the B execute.
Delzik starting to get a little antsy here. Gonna play off Nagzak. These are the 2 pistols, or 2 of them that RETA are boasting. Hoping for maybe a crossfire setup here. Should 2G make that push, they are grouped up in Octagon here, and there's one on that B side. Keep that in mind. Here comes the hit. Up to the high ground instantly for Silence. No resistance on the side as LZ is going to be getting it now. Double swing should do the job, but it's going to come from another direction as well. Through the TP play in. Nagsat's able to turn that into a kill, pick up a weapon, play the post plant from the exterior.
Now if Nags could find this kill off Zap, that would be immense, and he does with the Stinger.
Upgrade. big upgrade for him weapon-wise. Wasn't able to pick up the gun, though. Silence on the timing. Emerges here from Octagon to take the challenge, and he wins it out. Mirror is now at long distance. Better weapon wins. The remaining guns on RETA, nothing to sneer at, though.
Player standing.
DQ's already underway, and Silence walks into it. Suda's had a fantastic game so far. And he gets it to half. Oh, not an option there. Prize is going to be able to hold that angle and give 2G that first round win.
I love how Nags and Delzik played that together in Hookah, the ex-crew duo that attended several international events together, just fighting that lone Brimstone, finding that pick as the teammates over on the A side crunch through the teleporter to make things really dangerous for 2G. Convert by the skin of their teeth, and it's left the economy in dire straits for them. Look at it right now, 4 players below 500 credits. This is a very crucial round for both teams.
RETA up against the barrier almost there over at Octagon. Almost signaling an early pop on that B long side. They opt to play it a bit more passively. We do an insertion of snow here towards showers, so we're really investing in the periphery in this round. But all of 2G going to make their way straight down short. Here comes that Thrash. It's going to be a back away here by Delzik after throwing the molly. Not going to interrupt the plant, though. Prize caught out by that Thrash, and Snow is going to be able to capitalize here. All of RETA, with the exception of Nags, that grouped up towards Shower.
That was nicely done to find that first opening, and now LZ on his lonesome. Players gathered up in Showers fights. Nice Thrash. 1 for 1 with the Gecko ultimates.
Flood coming out of Showers, though. Doesn't pay off for Mirrors early. The Dizzy did still sting. Spikes was able to hold it down. 2 left here for RETA to work with for the time being. Suda wants to swing this angle. Spikes cannot connect it. Now it's up to LZ in the post plant. Sees 2 and just opts to take the 1 for the time being. Suda aware and is going to be able to take that engagement, but we didn't get to half. We didn't get the defuse.
Time not on his side. A lot of damage dealt. Again, it's Suji just barely getting away with winning back-to-back rounds at this point. Economy is going to continue to be in a tough spot for them. Late in the round, LZ just biding his time, re-wrapped Showers after watching short. Nicely played. The controller for the 2G side. Now RETA investing a little bit into this round, making sure they can buy up for the next.
Classic Snowzine round, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, Snowzine just loves picking up the scoped weapons as much as possible. He's a marshal more than a rifle, I swear.
All right, that's the confirm there for Maurice about his B-long play. Now the molly licks at his feet, though. Takes him a little low. Down to 24. And Suda gets picked up coming out of spawn. Silence had that one lined up. And Nagsad's going to opt to get off the site, or at least check to see the situation was, maybe get that weapon.
Yeah, he wanted to get that
at least the Phantom in hand.
That was the lone rifle, and heavy armor just gets destroyed, rocked by that nade from Silence. Look at this rewrap right now from Snowzine. Flanking with the Marshal, pushed all the way out of A. Everyone gathered up in Octagon. They have the main advantage, but they are fully contained right now.
They're taking their time, playing it slow. Still found a timing though that gets them ahead of the Marshal for the time being. Silence already gotten onto the side, but Nagset makes good on that picked up weapon at the start of the round. And they're too fast with it. LG flying on the site now. Snowzine hoping to make use of the showstopper, and Silence is fell, but now a 1v2 with nothing but a Marshal to work with. It's a tall order indeed, and Prize will again finish the job. Snowzine too low to deal with the wallbang.
It is just never easy for this 2G side. I mean, a risk to be taken from Snowzine in that round, pushing all the way behind with the Marshal, but at the moment, 2G have been playing a very straightforward game, Mitch. I mean, they are just straight up hitting sites. And now they're going to have to be very concerned. RETA exploiting it in that round, continuing to keep their economy so honest. Despite winning 3 rounds in a row, it is still left LZ with 0 credits and just a Guardian.
Every round has been like 1 or 2 players maybe surviving for the winning team. Extremely scrappy stuff here. 2G a bit more constrained in this composition, playing a lot off the timings of the refresh of that Sky utility. It's a slow start to the round again, but RETA are not the team really to push off sites and give you these free kills early in the round. That's all nice.
And now both Vipers right now do have the pit available. Nagset not opting to use it for any early round map control. Perhaps we'll use it in the late round, perhaps not, as he goes down to Silence, who's been finding some fantastic openings, back-to-back first bloods for the Rays.
Naxxed as well, the veteran. Absolutely clowned on that B site. Opting to pull out of hookah and not play that close control now in these gun rounds. And again, it is Snow pushing off the site once more. His timing is going to be keeping Prize honest for much of this game. And this is an easy, it's a freebie kill. So Zine hoping for a little bit more than this, but at some point, RETA have to establish themselves in this round. A side of the map under control, but Asuka essentially alone here trying to disrupt 2G as they swarm over the B side.
Yeah, swarming into B, Silence, just brute force, running it down, not having to contend with any mollies from the Vipers. That was the first pick they found. No, Snowzine was on that flying Suzer, nothing to do but save at this juncture in the round. It is over, and finally, for the sake of 2G, they're getting away with a clean one here, retaining their ultimates as well. Not having to use them here can save them for the following round. And RETA's economy, it is broken.
And again, pretty clean stuff. I mean, 2G step up and find an absolute humdinger of an opener as Naxxed just gets slammed by Silence. And they simply just fall over that B side in general. Very straightforward stuff here from this 2G side. And RETA are a team who we've seen in the past be, with great calling from Mariz, be really effective at dealing with those aggressive probes here. The timings for 2G, they might be catching them off here. This is not just sort of what we expect from the LATAM region, not what they're used to potentially, which is just that go fast, go hard approach.
Now, I will say as well, from what we've seen of 2G on Bind, regionally for the BR Challengers, they have found way more success on the attack half. So if things go as they did previously, if they follow that pattern, this is the favored side for them. And it's really coming down to these first kills. Massive credit to Silence, who's just been putting the team on his back in the early rounds, creating situations where they can just get into these sites for free. Really nice start from 2G, the underdog, that second seed from Brazil against the first seed of LATAM.
And again, the method in which they qualify here to Ascension may lead people to have a dim view of them. I think, we did get to see them play against, Glories twice in that particular tournament to sort of qualify here for Monterey. And, especially that first outing. Close games, but in general, not the most convincing showing from this two-game squad. In fact, it was a series in which I think LZ has to drop 27th on Bind, and they still end up dropping that map. They're playing the double duelist style, right? Where something that kind of priced them into those kind of aggressive pops at the start of rounds on defense that can leave them susceptible, especially to a team like RETA who will just hold off sights and wait for that push. Straight away, the Viper Spear here being used defensively. So he's going to be forced off that truck angle, of course, by this orbital strike. RETA definitely have the A site well in hand.
A massive commitment, and for what? From 2G. Trailblazer used immediately, trying to push Naxxed, one of the veterans on RETA, into the orbital strike. Doesn't pay off, and now that's just two info gathering pieces of utility as the Boombot just goes on an adventure and disappears, not finding a target. And the ultimate wasted. And short control retained. Naxxed just going to be so pesky with that judge. How do you clear him out at this point?
With util ideally, but a lot of that to 2G to work with. That's going to ruin me, by the way. The start of this round. Already spending a fair bit of it, right, from that first probe. We had that sky flashes, though, of course. Here comes that Trailblazer. Snoozy gets caught out completely. That really takes a lot of the lethality out of this A-site hold, and the Viper's Pit essentially has been circumvented. Now Naxxed needs to find a way to get value out of this judge here, and potentially have to leave the pit to do so.
Yeah, and how do you find the timing for that? This is going to be really tough. That was nicely done from 2G, really nicely done from Zap. Off that entry kill, off the Trailblazer. RETA do have some good utility to get back in here. They have the Trailblazer of their own. Spike is holding close, gets the first onto Mariz, and Silence picks up the angle to send Delzik to the grave.
Suter has really been the standout player here for RETA. But this is far too much to ask from the young blood. And it's going to be Spikes ending up finishing the job. Just a weird off-angle hold there on towards Vents. And RETA, frankly, walked straight into it. And this is the criticism we had of RETA, I think, at times through their run to qualification. Not always bringing anything necessarily new. That X Factor element also a little muted on this side. They've got a great duelist in Snozine, but he really had some very sketchy outings, a little streaky at times. Need to find a way to put him in a position to succeed.
Yeah, absolutely. Silence not going to pick up. The Outlaw has 3 light armored targets to potentially one shot. So it looks like some early shower control is going to be the mission here from 2G. Standard Viper utility goes down short to pressure towards Lamps. Feign that someone could be walking up, going for a lurk play. Taking that position in Lamps.
Very tempted by the prospect of a dizzy recovery, giving him an opportunity, and again he just serves himself up. We saw this on the pistol round. At least that time, Snow was able to turn that into a 1-for-1 trade, but that is an ugly look. Again, the duelist, the first casualty over at the A site for RETA.
And that is a bit of conditioning from 2G, exploiting Snozine's willingness to go for these flanks, expecting that they're going to be really gathered up in these 4-1s. Nice timing on the orbital strike. Just isolates Prize as soon as it gets caught. Caught by the Thrash. And there it is.
Delzik not able to respond, at least trade out that kill. The timing not quite there as he emerges from Lamps and ends up offering himself up as well. Murray's quiet game so far for that ex-MIBR veteran. There's no way to really make his way out of Lamps here. Nagzad also slowly coming on this flank via showers. And that's a big one to win out. Murray's now able to establish a bit of a foothold here on this site. Paint shells are a bit concerning, knock him down to 53. And still that flank is coming. Nagzad making his way, but won't check his right. He's spotted by Spikes. Now Maurice is all alone. Spikes will clean him up as well. 2G look at dominant on this attack side.
And that's a mistake that can't be afforded by such an experienced veteran player like Nagzad. That is the freest kill of all time. That would have served as a distraction for Maurice to try and get out. Play a real honest 2v2 at that point into the round. A tragic end as the momentum continues for that second seed from Brazil. Just running them over with pure force. Again, just playing this pretty straightforward game, though the opening was different. You know, they played very spread, expecting some aggression to come out, and it did come. They baited out Snozine to find that entry. The first blood game has been so favored towards the attackers.
I got the spike.
That is a tough mosh pit to hit there. Almost caught by the Great. It doesn't end up achieving its purpose. RETA trying to make it... Okay, they're calling it audible here and moving all their resources over towards the B side. Might be in response to that util use by 2G, but it's just Zach here. Can he keep them interested? Oh, that'll do it. Murray's having to shrug that one off now, and that Viper Wall, of course, will allow 2G to make their way into A. Essentially undetected, because that's such a defensive positioning here for Delzik.
Yeah, the crowd came up as well to cut off the Lance angles. I'm just expecting the push through Hookah. Heads up there to find, again, a first blood for the 2G side. It's just back to back to back to back for them, getting first kills. And now right on the retake with tragic weaponry. How do you close space with a Stinger and a Bucky in this situation? I mean, it's just a wrap. You cannot get back in the site.
26 HP and a Bucky. Getting out of vents that way is not going to happen. Looks like a RETA know it as well. Time is short here for the LATAM squad, and 2G are schooling them on their map of choice, folks. Suti here on hopes to catch someone falling off the site, but that opportunity also goes begging, and that'll be a 7th round by number 2 seed from Brazil.
And RETA had found success on Bind playing this within their region. You know, they defeated All Knights in the grand finals on this map, which is when they swung things back to win that best of 5 series. But 2G have shown some solid level of play here as well, picking into a map that's certainly not at the bottom of the pool by any means for the Brazilian side. And Snozine finally operator in his hands, the preferred weapon of the RETA duelist.
I mean, you know, it's so back to the talk on the desk as well was about the veteran factor of RETA and how they've been on stages before. I mean, you've got players that have had multiple champions appearances, not just global events, not just being on stage, champions.
Oh yeah, I mean,
and yet,
3 players with champions appearances. Nags has been to 3 champions and 4 masters. Delzik 2 champions, 4 masters. I mean, more experience within those two players internationally than any combined amount of other players here in this tournament.
And it's one of their youngest players, Suter, able to step up for them in some of these crucial moments. Outside of that, it's been pretty quiet for this team, whereas 2Game look really comfortable, right? A lot of what we're seeing is, a lot of individual challenges being taken. They are able to play slow enough to bait Snowzine out of position, right? You've mentioned it a couple of times. He's made his way into showers. He also got caught out standing up on that B site. It seems like RETA have not been able to put him in a position to succeed. Operator in hand this round, we might see that just taken over to shower. But that's a line you can still break with some of that util. We have seen Spike move in there with a Dizzy and to try and draw some of these defenders out.
One of my biggest issues watching 2G regionally was that they were throwing away far too many man advantage situations. They were good at finding first kills, but they weren't good enough at closing out rounds. That has not been a problem for them here at all.
Tries off a play here. Silence able to catch Delta because he tries to make his way in. At least Snowzine can deal with Silence. But Spike, he had the mosh pit set up. How does Suter play off this? Maybe he wants to check if Zap is in the corner, but he's not going to be spotted out. Mosh pit also completely unbothered. There it is though. Suter's able to move up. This wingman eventually finds his mark. Now the Viper's pit though placed down in the post plant. For RETA now to have to work around this. There's still no plant yet. There could be a transition through spawn here for 2G. They need to check tower. And Naxat almost preemptively is drifted over in the B direction just in case.
Yeah, just remains steadfast there. Just watching for spawn as well. Completely aware. Are 2G going to be ready for this though? Can Naxat find the first, maybe fall off the angle, just retreat to elbow or off them? Passively does find the first. Once more, gets a little greedy and punished for it. Traded out by Spikes.
30 seconds left.
A relatively exposed position for Naxat to play from. I guess he's not sure if there is actually a rotation through spawn. Spikes has to hold it down. So far, so good. Suter, without the opportunity to follow up on Muri's being caught, now has to swing into 2. This is looking ugly for RETA. But you know what? Sometimes you got to thrash him. Does not make the distance. And now he still has to face the firing squad.
That is tough. And that's also Spike just taking a pure 1v1, by the way, to win that in the 2 versus 2. Some of those ranked demon tendencies coming out of a player that's playing on his first legit team here ever in Valorant. I would have loved to have seen Naxat just fall off in that situation. Maybe feeling like someone could have been pressuring behind, like there would have been someone coming through hookah or octagon. It is...
Exactly. If he had the info, he probably takes a far safer position in that situation. But that Viper's pit obscures all the information about 2G's positioning. He doesn't know for sure if they're going to come through spawn at him there. Maybe everything's it a little. Here they come straight down short once more. This time, no less explosive out of the raise. The Silence doesn't need to shove a showstopper down anyone's throat. Snow again on a shotgun. Forced to try and play through lamps. Again stymied. Forced back by a molly. And now Wingman goes to work on the plant.
That is great utility to force the judge out of the close quarter area. Trying to get back in, but here comes the thrash. And Snowzine detained.
You've got to go in for this one. As well. Suter was hoping to play off of Snow there. He's able to satchel away, but Spikes is going to be there to finish the job. And through the smoke, Suter falls. It's just Maurice and Delzik left to work with. Years of experience. And it's asking a lot still. Delzik for 3. But 2G are 9 rounds on his attack side already.
This Spike Gecko gameplay has been lovely. A player that's known for Neon, primarily. I think primarily is an understatement. Has been a Neon ranked demon. And when he does get the opportunity to play Neon on some of these maps in pro play, does go crazy. But has to be on that flex roll, and this is some fantastic gameplay. All of the thrashes connecting, great timing on the molly. The utility usage has been sublime from the young player.
A massive lead to represent that. Trade here for the attack side. It's going to be Snow falling again, at least though. Gets his. Delzik realizing the follow-up for the Boombot might be quicker than he otherwise would be ready for. And again, he will be carved out with this excellent utility application by 2G. And they can slow the pace down now.
Does Mariz dare swing this try and even things up? There have been so many little individual mistakes from the RETA side, just players getting caught in poor positions or pushing up too aggressively. I mean, I feel like I'm beating a dead horse at this point, but, you know, finding these first bloods and crucial picks to get man advantages have all been going in the way of 2G. Mariz holding the angle. Instant trade again from Spikes. 2 trades in the round. The cast stats are looking great.
Good to hear, able to slow this one down, at least with the mosh pit. Nagzed has been ever so slowly wrapping around this round. He might be a little bit late on the timing here as Wingman's going to go to work once more. Suda, can he emerge and find something here? No. Wingman of his own. Caught by a little bit of that snake bite damage by the looks of things. And Spikes just finishes him off in the end. He really offers only a token resistance.
Spike planted.
Does necessitate a manual plant, but Nagzed now has to navigate this 1v3 alone from Hookah. 2G, again, swarming over this B site.
Oh yeah!
And there's a thrash ready as well, just in case Nagzed tries to bite off more than he can chew. And there it is. The knife kill to end the round.
I mean,
and half.
This is not even a game of Valorant right now. 2G are just steamrolling them. You know, even in a slow round like this, they are just exploiting these solo efforts from RETA. These little mistakes are being punished every single time by the side that is, you know, seriously experience gapped in this game. They're making RETA look like the ones who are, you know, playing at their first international tournament. This is fantastic. This is the second seed from Brazil. The team from Brazil that came in 3rd place at both splits and qualified off of points.
How much of the narrative this year, like how much of the narrative this year as far as Americas is concerned is about Brazil languishing as a region, right? You know, maybe struggling to get good practice opportunities against franchise teams, yada, yada. But this is the number 2 seed and they are looking, well, they're bringing with confidence. And one, I guess, criticism that's been leveled at RETA in the past is, where's the firepower at on this team? You have some great minds on this roster. But do you have like a game-changing duelist? Not always. Snow can have these, you know, blips on the radar where he has these pop-off games, but you see in this game, he's being exploited, baited out, taken down by Util, being read into very effectively by 2G, who are shutting down this superstar very well.
And if I am to offer a little bit of hope here as a pause is taken at the half, it is the fact that within their region, I mentioned this prior, but the attack sides for 2Game Unbind is where they have been able to succeed. The defense, not as much. You know, they had some situations where they've made huge comebacks and it was on their attack half. They did that against, you know, Galoris, who we're going to see later today, the number 1 seed from Brazil, who's on the attack after they were able to make these comebacks. So
that was a double duelist comp on defense.
It was, yeah, it absolutely was. You know, this is just a more consistent, tried and true composition.
And honestly, Spike is the player previously on that extra duelist, has acclimated extremely well to this particular role. The util use has been fantastic. I mean, being able to catch out, I think Snowzine, that, you know, that one round where we see Silence with their showstopper jump onto that A site there and look like he's going to get traded out in the end, but there's a mosh pit sitting under the feet of Snowzine that takes him out. Very, very clean in general from 2G. Can they channel that same momentum here on the defensive side?
That same momentum against a RETA who are very slow on attack. But look at this. 2G have a full stack here for this hit.
They've read it. Are they going to be ready for it? Snowzine touches down, and then his lifeless body hits the ground after. Fantastic little paint shell there from Silence, and Nagzed, shell-shocked, reeling, has to scurry away and try and make something happen on the other side of the map.
And on that note, just send us to sunset unless, you know, Nagzed hits one of
Wide
the
on the get me out call
clutches
already
of all time. I mean, they're simply aware. They had 4 players ready for the straight-up B hit. Crush RETA in the palm of their hands. It's just so easy for them right now. This is a shocking result, genuinely. I mean,
I will say that, like, those RETA B hits that we saw in their regional final were a little shaky. Pretty questionable. when they have to go up tempo, play that more aggressive style, we can see some holes start to creep in. In fact, a lot of the time on this attack side, they played offside, right? They waited for these pushes up. I don't think 2G are so one-dimensional, though, as, you know, All Night demonstrated them to be in that game, as to just throw away these easy kills at the start of the round. This is remarkably well drilled from the Brazilian number 2 seed.
And RETA now no option, obviously, but to force. They're going to have 5 stingers into this round, with Nags, at the very least, the tiniest, most minuscule of consolation prizes at this point of the game is getting the spike down, so they can force while 2G have 11 before they get to 12. Couple Bulldogs, who's Spectres for the economically favored side on defense.
Colony here for RETA as they try and come in with silence. Takes first contact. Does get traded out. LZ expecting an emergency from this Viper War momentarily, hoping to play off the Dizzy, and Delzik falls. Suit at least able to trade once more, but it's favoring the defenders now, and the spike is loose. Speaking of which, they've made their way into Lamps. And Mariz does not know where to look. This little insertion from Zap here at the top of short could be devastating. Almost the timing there for Mariz. Might still have it here. No! Spike sends it around on him. Devastating for RETA. Their best chance of the half. And the best chance they're going to have the rest of the game. Falls flat.
Yeah, that is just the force buy denied. 2-game look completely different from the 2-game we saw regionally in those matches in Brazil. The level of fundamentals compared to where they were at the last time we saw them play at the end of July, worlds of difference, Mitch. I mean, they were struggling to close out man advantage rounds because the spacing, the trading was just not up to par against the other quality teams in the region. It was good, but not where it needed to be to contend at an event like Ascension. And they are there now. They are trading everything out. These RETA players are being dimmed so hard on a fundamental level.
Showers crunch here coming out from 2G. Thrust over towards RETA, but they are able to create some distance. The attack is now grouped towards the top short.
Look at the spike. Look at the spike.
That is mental. They just dropped the bag and got out of there. It's like a highway robbery. And now RETA have to try and find a way back. Weaponry, approximately equivalent. It's not really where Snozine's going to thrive, though, with his choice of Arsenal. And Spike steps up, brimming with confidence. Snozine forced out of the action entirely. Silence steps up yet again. And this is Candy being taken from Infants. RETA down to Suter. The only player really put in a position to distinguish himself on this map. And that even is a stretch. Spike is loose in a different postcode. And 5 players for 2G camping it.
30 seconds left.
Calling this a blowout doesn't do justice to how dominant 2G have been right here. Suto going down, tried his best. It was really the only standout at times for RETA. Absolutely crushed. Not the result anyone expected going into this first map. Obviously, this is a BO3. Not going to call it yet. You have to imagine that these RETA players, these experienced players, they've definitely got it in them to recover from a map loss like that. But it's going to be such a challenge. That was RETA's map pick as well.
Man, Zap rather already just screaming across the stage at RETA. Probably decidedly unimpressed from the foot being put forward by the number 1 team out of LATAM. They're going to need to take a break, I think, and recoup. They were able to win a reverse sweep to get themselves here, but that is a brutal way to start. And now they're moving over to 2G's map choice. Stick around, of course, everybody. Coming up next will be Sunset. We'll see if RETA can pull themselves out of the dumpster.